How's it going, my peeps? It is now time for the Raw results / highlights and review video. I'll go over the results, some of the highlights in my opinion, and give you guys my thoughts on the show. So it kicks off with Justin Roberts introducing the new WWE champion, Daniel Bryan. So he comes out to a big pop with the championship. And the crowd chanting, yes, yes, yes. They're chanting Daniel Bryan. And grabs the microphone. He says there's a lot he wants to say, but one word that says it best is yes, yes, yes. And then before he says anything else, Triple H comes out, his music hits. He comes out and he says, before you start, going too deep into your celebration or, congratulating yourself, I would like to address something that happened last night. And then he talks about the 3 count, the fast 3 count. I told you guys in the review, in my Night of Champions review, that I knew it wasn't over. After seeing that fast 3 count, I was like, alright, they're definitely going to address this tomorrow and maybe strip Daniel Bryan of the championship, maybe fire Scott Armstrong. So, Triple H addresses it. He shows footage of Scott Armstrong's normal count speed. So he shows a random 2 count from the matchup last night, and then he shows the fast 3 count, and then he even compares the two. He brings out Scott Armstrong and tells Scott, explain yourself. Scott says, I don't know, I made a mistake. And he says, you're a senior official here. When you make a mistake, usually, I know you, and when you make a mistake and you fess up, this and that. And then he says, I have a feeling you're not telling the truth here. So then Scott Armstrong just looks at Daniel Bryan and approaches him and says, he got us, or he's onto us, something along those lines. And then Triple H is like, wait a minute, did you just say he's on to us, or he got us to Daniel Bryan? And Daniel Bryan's like all confused at Scott Armstrong, and then Scott just nods his head like saying yes. And he tells, alright Scott, just go to the back, I'll deal with you later or whatever. And then he tells Daniel Bryan, you should be ashamed of yourself, this and that. And then he strips Daniel Bryan of the championship. He tells him you are no longer, as of this moment, you are no longer WWE champion. He doesn't give the belt back to Randy, but he says pretty much the title's going to be vacated. And then Randy comes out. Well, actually, before Randy comes out, I forgot to say, Triple H tells Daniel Bryan to hand over the championship or else he's going to take it from him. Daniel Bryan doesn't want to give it, so Randy comes out and he's charging the ring. He gets on the apron. Triple H tells him to calm down, tells them both to calm down, tells them he doesn't want to fight, and tells Daniel Bryan once again to give the championship back. Daniel Bryan says no, and a few seconds later, Randy Orton hits the RKO on Bryan, and Triple H grabs the championship and leaves. Afterwards, backstage, Triple H is talking to Stephanie McMahon. Randy Orton comes up to them and he's yelling at Triple H, telling him what went on there. You should have given me the championship instead of vacating it. What are you thinking? Stephanie McMahon snaps and starts yelling at Randy, tells Randy that, they want the old Randy Orton back. What happened to the Randy that DDT'd me and RKO'd or kicked Triple H in the head, this and that. She says they want the sick bastard back, whatever. And that was pretty much it for this segment. Afterwards, they had Dean Ambrose versus Dolph Ziggler in a non-title matchup, a rematch from Night of Champions. And this time, Dolph picked up the victory. It was kind of expected since it was a non-title match. But anyways, after that, you had Stephanie McMahon, Triple H, Big Show, and Brad Maddox backstage. And they announced that Daniel Bryan will be facing off against Roman Reigns tonight. Brad Maddox tells Stephanie McMahon that Dusty is in the building. She thanks him, he leaves, and then Stephanie McMahon tells the Big Show that tonight she wants him to sit in this office, not do anything, and not cause any trouble, unless she needs him, and then she'll call. And that was it. Following that, Fandango came out for a matchup against R-Truth. Fandango ends up winning the matchup after he hits the top rope leg drop, and then backstage they show a few superstars and divas like the Primetime Players, Natalya, talking to Dusty Rhodes, and then he comes out to the ring, talks a little bit, and then he calls out Stephanie McMahon. Stephanie McMahon comes out, and she tells him pretty much the business proposition is she's gonna give him the chance or give Cody his job back. Well, actually, she's gonna give Dusty Rhodes the choice. He can either give Cody Rhodes his job back, or give Goldust, the one who fought so hard against Randy, his job back. So it's either Cody or Goldust. He has to make that choice. He says he can't make that choice. And they go back and forth for a while. In the end, Dusty Rhodes tells Stephanie to go to hell. And that's when Stephanie McMahon brings out the Shield. They surround the ring. And she's like, okay, wait a minute. I've got to, this isn't really fair. So let me bring out somebody that could help you out or something like that. So she brings out the Big Show. Big Show comes out and he's all confused. Why is Stephanie McMahon, calling me out to help out Dusty? So he goes in the ring. And she tells Dusty, since you couldn't make the choice between Cody and Goldust, now you have to make the choice between getting attacked by the Shields or getting knocked out by the Big Show. Dusty says he won't make the choice. So Stephanie McMahon says, alright, then I'll make the choice for you. Big Show, knock him out. Big Show, of course, doesn't want to do it. And then Stephanie McMahon says, alright, Shield, attack Big Show, whatever. They actually bring out steel chairs. They all grab a steel chair. And then Big Show is like, you better not do anything to Dusty, whatever, to the Shield. And then he tells Dusty in his ear, I'm sorry, I have to do this or whatever. And then he knocks him out. So he knocks him out instead of the Shield attacking Dusty with steel chairs. So that was it. And afterwards, they showed Dusty Rhodes getting stretchered out in an ambulance, and Big Show goes in to in the ambulance with Dusty as well. Afterwards, it was a 6-diva tag team matchup. Alicia Fox, Aksana, and Layla versus Brie Bella and the Funkadactyls. And Brie Bella and the Funkadactyls end up winning when Cameron tries to tag in Naomi, but Brie Bella tags herself in, she gets in, and eventually she hits her finisher on, honestly I don't remember on who, but she hits her finisher on one of the other divas on the other team and gets the victory for her team. Afterwards, and by the way, on commentary, AJ and Natalya were on commentary, but Natalya's headset wasn't working until like the end of the matchup, so she didn't get to talk too much. In the end, Natalya and AJ have a stare down while AJ's holding the championship. After that, they show Brad Maddox talking with The Miz backstage. And then you have Damien Sandow versus Rob Van Dam. Rob Van Dam wins with the 5-star frog splash. After the matchup, Damien Sandow grabs the microphone and says he's still your uncrowned world heavyweight champion, Damien Sandow. After that, they show Triple H in his office. Scott Armstrong is there now. And Triple H tells Scott Armstrong he's going to offer him a really good severance package. And then Scott Armstrong's like, what? Severance package? And then Triple H is like, yeah, I'm gonna have to let you go. Pretty much, Triple H fires Scott Armstrong, but he tells him, don't worry, I'm gonna take care of you. And then after that segment, you had Randy versus The Miz. Randy Orton comes out first, and I actually didn't know they were in Cleveland until Justin Roberts told, or actually no, when Jerry the King Lawler, I think, on commentary said that they were in Cleveland, and also Justin Roberts, once The Miz made his entrance, said Cleveland Zone. So anyways, Miz makes his entrance after Randy, and he goes like, next to next to the barricade or whatever, and there's his dad and his mom, and from behind Randy Orton comes and attacks The Miz, and then he starts attacking him, giving him punches while he's down. They go to commercial break, they come back, and this time I believe The Miz had the advantage, and him and Randy fought all over the place. And I think there was a countout somewhere. Michael Cole pointed that out. I don't know, but pretty much it was no winner, or if there was, it was by count out or something. Actually, there was no winner. I think both got counted out. Anyways, Randy gets the advantage, and he even DDTs The Miz from the barricade onto the floor, and right in front, right next to his parents. The funniest thing was his parents' reactions. They were so opposites. I mean, his mom's reactions were great. She was like crying, and she looked shocked. While his dad was like, it was like, there was no expression on his face. It was like, okay, just, I don't know, I don't care. But anyways, pretty funny. I would be surprised if there was, some new memes popping up with the Miz's dad. But anyways, yeah, Randy beats up The Miz pretty bad. Then he puts him back in the ring, grabs a steel chair. The Miz is has his face facing down on the mat, so Randy grabs the steel chair, opens it up, puts The Miz's head in between, and then instead of just stomping on it, he goes in the corner, and I'm thinking maybe he's gonna go for the pun instead, but no, he goes for a knee drop. He goes in the corner, runs towards The Miz, and hits a knee drop onto the steel chair. And that was it for segment. The medics then come out, and referees stopping Orton and checking on The Miz. After that, Paul Heyman comes out in a wheelchair. Curtis Axel is, wheeling his wheelchair, and Ryback is right next to Paul Heyman. Curtis Axel then leaves the stage and just leaves Paul Heyman along with Ryback. Paul Heyman says he is the best in the world, and he goes on to talk about how he pinned CM Punk. It's going to show in the record books that when CM Punk and Paul Heyman faced off in the ring, Paul Heyman was the victorious one. He pinned CM Punk, and the loser of that matchup was CM Punk. And he says he'd love to say he had a master plan, and that the whole Ryback interfering was his plan, but he says it wasn't. And then at some point he says, this big, beautiful man talking about Ryback saved me. Ryback talks, he says he hates bullies, and that's why, he attacked CM Punk and saved Paul Heyman. And in the end he says, as long as I'm on your side, CM Punk is never going to get his hands on you again. And then in the end, Paul Heyman kisses Ryback on the cheek. I thought that was pretty weird. But anyways, that ends the segment. Ryback says Ryback rules, and that was it. And then they had a tag team tournament match, another one. Actually, I don't know if it's called a tag team tournament match because it doesn't involve 5 teams this time. But it was the Usos versus the Real Americans versus Tons of Funk. Elimination rules, just like, at Night of Champions. Tons of Funk are eliminated first when Cesaro rolls up Tensai, and then it was down to the Usos and the Real Americans. The end of the match came when Jack Swagger, one of the Usos took out Cesaro. Then Jack Swagger hit a belly-to-belly suplex on the Uso that's the legal guy in the ring right now. So he hits the belly-to-belly suplex from the top of the turnbuckle, but he didn't see that the other Uso that's on the apron tagged himself in. So he hits the belly-to-belly suplex, Jack Swagger lands on his back too, and that's when the other Uso jumps from the top rope and hits the top rope body splash for the 1-2-3. So the Usos win the matchup and earn the #1 contendership to the tag team titles, so they'll get a future tag team title match. Afterwards on commentary, they gave an update on The Miz, saying that he doesn't have a broken neck, but he has a damaged thorax. And then you have a Bray Wyatt promo on the Titantron. Afterwards, they had Daniel Bryan walking backstage towards the ring, towards the arena, whatever. And you had all the superstars supporting him. So, the matchup, Daniel Bryan versus Roman Reigns. The match lasted a pretty good while, actually. I don't know how long it was, but it was decently long. So anyways, the match, Roman Reigns got a lot of offense in the matchup. At some point in the matchup, Daniel Bryan went for the suicide dive, and Roman Reigns caught him and then hit him in the back, or actually grabbed him and shoved him against the apron. Also, another highlight of the matchup is the Shield. Roman Reigns was on the outside of the ring, Daniel Bryan on the inside, and of course the rest of the Shield on the outside as well. Daniel Bryan goes for a baseball slide or a running drop kick and hits Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins freaking flies onto the announcer's table, like back of the head first onto the announcer's table. That looked pretty painful. Anyways, Roman Reigns gets back in the ring. Daniel Bryan hits a couple drop kicks in the corner. And in the end, Daniel Bryan locks on the yes lock, but Randy Orton interferes, attacks Daniel Bryan. Him and the Shield attack him. And then Randy grabs his steel chair once again, puts Daniel Bryan's head in between. Looks like he's about to do the same thing he did to The Miz. Goes in the corner to prepare for it, but then you see, like, running down the ramp, the Usos and a bunch of other superstars. They charged the ring. It was the Usos, Dolph Ziggler, the Primetime Players, Rob Van Dam, Justin Gabriel, Zack Ryder, and I think that was it. There might have been some more people, I'm not sure. Did I say Rob Van Dam? I don't know. Yeah, I don't think I said Rob Van Dam, right? Rob Van Dam was in there too. They beat up the Shield. They took out Roman Reigns. They took out Dean Ambrose. And then I think Titus O'Neil and Darren Young were about to take Seth Rollins out of the ring, but then somebody else, I think, stopped them and just grabbed Seth Rollins and put him on the ground or on the mat and stopped him from being thrown out to the outside. And then I realized they did that because Daniel Bryan was then preparing for the running high knee, so he hits the running knee onto Seth Rollins, who sells it pretty well. And then the primetime players grab Daniel Bryan, put him over their shoulders, and Daniel Bryan and them all celebrate by chanting, "Yes, yes, yes." And that was it. Pretty cool ending to this show. I like the fact that not the entire roster, but a lot of people from the roster decided to, stand up and help Daniel Bryan out. And he was on his own this time, so that was pretty cool. And yeah, nice ending. So, what did I think about the show? Highlights of the show. Highlight freaking that baseball slide onto Seth Rollins. That must have been painful. Also, the Mrs. Dad's reactions were pretty funny, since there was no reaction to the Miz getting beat up. And also like the fact that we might be seeing, the old Randy that used to take people out, so, yeah. Anyways, what did I think about the show? Score a rating on 10. I would give Raw this week a 6.5 on 10, maybe. 6.5. CM Punk wasn't on the show. I kind of wish he was on the show, but he wasn't. I think 6.5 is a fair score. Maybe even 7 just because of the ending. I really liked the ending. But when I look at the rest of the show, I'm leaning towards 6.5 more. So I don't know. In between that. 6.5 to 7 on 10. Whatever. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. And if you did, as always, you can click that like button down below. We'll appreciate it. And with that said, I'm out, guys. See ya.